Last week we were talking about messaging, and I definitely want to continue that conversation. However, we have a slightly different, if Cody is okay with it, Cody informed me yesterday that she wants to start a new group class online. And so I thought this would just be a great opportunity to walk you through that process.
Well,
Do either one of you want to focus on something else specific, or
that works great.
does that work for you? Okay, cool. So let me see here. We're going to bring up the whiteboard here. I can figure out how to do this. Whiteboard. Yeah, or actually, let's do this as a Google Doc. All right, can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I just thought I'd get this out just in case we want to take some notes and stuff like that. So Cody's going to be starting a new group class online, right? So you're starting Fundamentos de Inglés Uno. That's most likely where you're going to be starting. So this is a really good thing for everybody to think about. I recommend starting by just getting private students and starting at a really low price just to remove the friction, because as you're going through this process, you need to learn how to use the program first and foremost, right? Every time you give the lessons, the better you're going to feel about it. It's always a little awkward the first couple of classes and the first time you go through a full level. But the idea is we're using the same lesson plans every single time. So after you go through level one once, the next time you do it, it's going to be better. The third time's even better. And usually by the fourth time, you're just like rolling through it, right? It does take a little bit of time to get used to this format of the PowerPoint presentations. And so my idea in milestone 2 is sign up a few private students, $20, $25, $30 an hour, hit them at a low cost just to sign them up, because you're also learning how to do sales and marketing and communication, and you're taking off your teacher hat and you're putting on your sales or customer service hat, right? So, we just want to lower the friction. I've seen it work best when teachers do it this way too, right? Like they feel more comfortable working with somebody one-on-one than they do jumping right into a group lesson, because when you have multiple students, then you have multiple personalities and you're also learning this program. So again, everything's designed to reduce the friction. So the goal is get a few students, start working with them, get your money back from the $97 investment from our membership. And then once you start building your confidence up, it's time to go to the next level and start a group class. So group classes should typically have 4 to 8 students in it. And if you think about this, at $97 a month, if you have 4 students in your class, you're making approximately $100 an hour, right? If you have 8 students in your class, you're making approximately $200 an hour. Just so you know, if I only have 2 students that sign up, I do the class for only 1 hour. But if I get 3+ students signed up, then I do the class for 90 minutes or an hour and a half, right? Just to give people a little bit of extra time in there. So Cody, whenever you launch a new class, this is typically the way I do it. I normally want at least 2 weeks lead time. Now you're starting it next Saturday, I think, right? So that only gives us a week. It would be better to have at least 2 weeks, but that's okay for next time. Think about now starting another class in April, right? 2 weeks lead time is a little bit better. just so you have enough time to do all this stuff that you should do to try and get those 8 students. You obviously want to try to get 8 students. I don't recommend more than 10 ever. I think 10 is definitely the hard cutoff. I've taught with groups, with big groups and with small groups, and I'm not sure what it is about the number 10, but it typically seems like once you pass into double digits, that affective filter, right? Krashen's affective filter about anxiety really gets triggered if you walk into a class with 10 or more students. The students just become very uncomfortable. They don't ask questions. They tend to shut down. So if you're under that, that's okay. I still prefer smaller the better. So I think like 4 to 8 students is kind of the sweet spot. But if you want to bump it up to 10, that's fine. I wouldn't recommend more than 10, okay? So typically speaking, we want at least 2 weeks to launch a class. You know, the more time, the better. So whenever I look at launching a class, what I would do is look at my calendar. So now I'm going to share my calendar with you. And so in an ideal situation, because we're the last week of February, I'm going to look out to the month of April. And I'm going to take a look. I try to start new classes the first week of the month, typically. It just makes it easier to wrap your head around, right? So for the purpose of today, I'm going to look at my schedule and I can see, oh, look, on Friday, it's completely wide open. So I'm going to start a new group class from 5:30 to 7. So you try and look out and see what you have available, obviously. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and share my full screen here. So I don't have to keep switching back and forth if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, so now can you see both my Google Doc sheet?
Yes.
And my calendar? So if I switch back and forth, okay, good. So what I would look here, so if I were doing this, right, we want to pick the start date. So here I would put Friday, April 3rd. And then we're going to put our time. So you kind of want to think, what's the most important information for your students? We need our location. Cody, remind me, do you use Google Meet?
Yes.
You use Google Meet, right? I
Yes.
would have put Zoom because that's my start date, right? Or I use Zoom, but if you use Google Meet, then you want to do that. For the purpose of creating a flyer, what we're doing all this because the next step is we want to create a flyer and we want to create something that we can post on social media to do this, right? So we don't need the specific Google Meet login instructions because this is going to be public facing, so we don't want a whole bunch of random people joining and joining the class, right? So if you keep it private, you just want to let people know. And I might even make it a little bit more specific and say online via Google Meet, just so people understand that it's 100% online. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, in this particular situation, put the price. Okay? Now, here's where we just want to create kind of a high-level overview of the class, okay? So I might say something like Fundamentos de Inglés Uno is perfect for adults that want to learn how to speak English at work or in the community. Keep it simple, right? Classes are limited to only 8 students so that each student gets a lot of personalized attention from the teacher and will feel confident speaking in front of a small group. We can create a little urgency. You know, sign up today to ensure your seat in class. To pay, please send $97 via Zelle to, something at email.com or whatever your Zelle information is, right? So real quick, to thinking about the exactly where we're going to put the flyer, right? For a public facing flyer, we might say to enroll, call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 0, right? Put your phone number. That's typically, you could say call, or you could say text your phone number. In a public facing ad, like if you're putting a flyer up at the local carniceria, I definitely recommend telling them to call you, just because they're the first time they're seeing this, right? People are really worried about scams right now. And so initially, I think you're going to get better results by saying call me, because then you're going to talk to a real person and you're going to know that I'm a real person. I'm not a robot or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just say call, depending on where you are. I tell people to text me, but I have that online reputation, so people feel a little bit more comfortable. In your position for now, I'd say go ahead and call them, right? And then be prepared to take those calls, right? If you are posting on social media or Google or on any online place like that, you can say, please send via Zelle. You might give them the option, call, or just go ahead and send me your Zelle information. But typically speaking, the Zelle information is going to be reserved for people that you already have a relationship with. So that would be more used for text messages or emails, if that makes sense. Okay, any questions about that?
So for the flyers, am I not putting my Zelle information on there? Just ask them to call me first.
I would say to call you, just because it's very unlikely that somebody that sees this random ad is just going to send you money via Zelle, right? Think about, that's why I said the Zelle information is really like, okay, you called me, we had a conversation, now I'm going to send it to you, right? All right, so this is more or less like.
Sorry, I have one question. Sorry, I was struggling to unmute, but are there any, is it usually expected that the classes meet once a week? Do people tend to ask for meeting more than that amount of time a week? And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Sure, that can be an objection that comes up. A lot of people will say, oh, only once a week? That's not going to work. I can't learn English in just once a week, right? And the reason why, first you have to understand the objection. Why is that, right? A lot of people have tried other programs and they don't work, And so one program You know, I've seen people that go to classes 5 days a week and don't learn how to speak the language. The problem is the quality of the program. It's not the quantity of classes, it's the quality of the program, right? So if you're in a classroom, like some of the other places do around here, with 30 students that are from 10 different linguistic backgrounds that are all at different that, you know, there's 5 different levels. It doesn't matter if you meet once a week or if you meet every single day for 10 hours a day. The quality of that environment is every worst practice in the language acquisition playbook. I don't even understand how these places operate that way. You're not going to learn, right? So the goal is try to redirect people always to focus on quality, right? This is something you should both write down right now because it's going to come up a lot, right? Quality over quantity. Es la calidad, no la cantidad. Cody?
The lady that I spoke with, I think it was just yesterday, she was concerned about just having one class a week.
Yeah.
And I let her know that you're gonna actually, this class is gonna be pretty intensive and concentrated, but you're gonna have assignments that you're gonna need to work on every day. You can do homework every day,
Yeah.
each week when you're not in class. And she sounded much more comfortable knowing that she was going to be able to work on it every day.
You took the words right out of my mouth where I was about to go right after that, right? So first and foremost, just a simple redirect, always focus on quality over quantity. The next thing that I tell people, and this is another interesting thing that we should always be thinking about. So my program, you know, when I say that I get students speaking English in 3 months or less, couple of things to understand, right? That does not mean that you're going to be 100% fluent in English in 3 months. It does not mean you're going to be, you have mastered the language. What it means is that you are going to be able to exchange ideas and information with people in the majority of your day-to-day activities, right? That number comes based off of the concept that many linguists agree on nowadays that most daily interactions consist of the same 1,000 high frequently used words, right? So 80%, they've determined 80% of your daily conversations, you're talking about the same thing. You're using the same words over and over again. That's going to depend on who the person is. So what you do for work, we're all teachers, so we talk about the same. We're always talking about reading, writing, grading, talking, studying, right? Like our vocabulary is way different than a plumber who's maybe talking about fixing pipes and sinks and toilets and plumbing and tubes and stuff like that, right? So that's why we have our personalization built into the program. So every now and then we do an activity that's open and we ask people why they're learning and what they want to learn. So anyways, just so you guys know, that 3 months comes from 1,000 words being learned 10 words at a time for 100 days. That's if you learn 10 new words a day, every day for the next 100 days, you should know 1,000 words, and that gets you conversational. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So the reason why I'm explaining all that, I was like, what was I talking about? Okay, I'm explaining that because we use that to advantage for the people that say only once a week. I say, yeah, only once a week, because you need time in between the classes to study what I'm teaching you. These are conversation classes, which means we are talking. You're not doing this on paper. Your brain doesn't have time to think about what we're learning. So you have to give your time in between. You have to give yourself enough time in between classes to absorb the vocabulary that we're learning. And then I'll give the comparison to a sponge, right? Your brain is like a sponge. So if you take a sponge and you throw it in a bucket of water, what happens? It gets completely saturated with water and it can't take in any more water. It can't absorb any more water. Then you have to take it out of the bucket and you have to give it time to dry off. and then you put it back in the bucket and you can absorb some more water. So your brain is like that when it comes to vocabulary. It's very easy to learn 10 new words a day, but just going up to 20 new words in a day makes it very hard. So yes, we only meet once a week because we're giving your brain enough time to absorb what you're learning. That said, I'm going to give you a lot of activities and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do and when to do it between the classes so that you're learning this new vocabulary as fast as possible, so that when we're in class, then we just get to talk and have fun, right? So in between classes, you should be studying vocabulary 3 times a day. Not a whole lot, but at least 5 minutes with breakfast, 5 minutes with lunch, and 5 minutes with dinner. Very easy. And then once a week, you're going to fill in all of the activities in your student workbook, and that can take some time. And you should also be watching the recorded videos of the classes that I'm going to share. So, you know, do you have a job? Are you working full time? More than likely, they're going to say, oh, yeah, I have 2 jobs. Oh, you have 2 jobs. Do you have kids? Oh, I got 5 kids. Oh, okay. Well, when are you going to find time to do all of these activities and come to class 2 or 3 days a week? Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, that's right. Right. And another way you can spin it for them is like, you know, hey, I'd be happy to work with you 5 days a week. That'll be $500 a month. Oh, no, okay, yeah, let's just do once a week, right? Yeah, we can do 5 days a week. That's fine. It'll be $500 a month, right? So those are just different ways to kind of handle that same objection. Sometimes you might want to say all of it. Sometimes, you know, just as soon as you say like, well, yeah, I'm going to give you all this stuff to, like, don't worry. Class is only once a week, but you're going to be working every single day. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. And then the final thing is just like, I'll tell people, hey, once we get through this first level, then I recommend more intensive studies. Then it makes sense to study 2 or 3 days a week. But first and foremost, we want to work on building this foundation of 1,000 vocabulary words. And it just doesn't make sense to study more than 1 day a week. Like, we could do it, but you'd essentially be throwing your money away because you're not going to learn those vocabulary words faster. Does that make sense? So those are all, like, you don't have to say all of that every single time, but yeah, that's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked it, right? And that's where we get into objection handling. So that's something that's called an objection, and that will come up. It comes up with me a lot. And some student, you know, normally students will get it. So Cody, you said kind of something along the lines of what I just said, with studying every day and doing activities and stuff like that. And then she's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But oddly enough, it's weird. I talked to somebody last week, I think, that they said they were studying at one of the local community colleges and they didn't get any homework. There was nothing to do in between classes. While you were in class, that was it. And outside of class, there was no assignment. And that blew my mind away. So yeah, it's weird. But the simple thing is always focus on quality over quantity. Our classes, another way you can address that is to say, hey, we're working with really small groups of 4 to 8 students, and the only thing we're doing in class is talking. Everybody is talking from the very first class, and that's why our students learn how to speak the language in only 3 months. So yeah, our program is designed to help you start speaking English in 3 months or less at only once a week. Good. Cool. How are we feeling about all that?
Yeah, really good.
Feeling good? Cool. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do with this, right now, let me see if this is going to work for me. I just started using Gemini. I think it was that Huli. Did you recommend me use Gemini? Somebody told me to use Gemini.
Nope.
Somebody told me to use Gemini right now. All right, and this is a good question for either one of you. Are either of you using AI at all?
No, a little bit.
A little bit, okay.
For building my website.
We're going to run this experiment on Google Gemini just to see how it goes. And Cody, what is your actual start date for the class?
March 2nd. Let me
Saturday,
make sure. Oh no, it's not the 2nd. It's the 7th.
and it's a Saturday, right?
Yes, at 12
Saturday,
o'clock,
March 7th.
12 noon.
Are you doing it for an hour or hour and a half?
If it's over two people, then I'm just going to go with an hour and a half.
I would just go ahead and set it up for an hour and a
Hour and a
half.
half,
And
yeah. I told her it'll always probably go over an hour, but it may not go the full hour and a half
yeah,
unless we have more people.
yeah, exactly. If that's a good way to put it, right? So just be upfront with people, if they ask about it, say, hey, it's if we only have two students, it's an hour. If we have, because then you're still making $50 an hour. That's not bad, right? If we have more than three students, then we're going to go for an hour and a half. All right. So the next step we're going to tell Jim and I is to say, help me create a flyer to promote in a new English class for Spanish speaking adults that's starting soon. Here is the information. So here we have a flyer. In the content that it just gave us here, I would say this is going to be a little bit better for like a social media post. We don't need English in there. So sometimes it's not AI is good, but it's not that good. So you still have to like train it to get it right. All right, so let's see here. So for you, I would say let's create a simple flyer. What's your phone number for signing people up to a class, Cody?
720 336 0636.
Let's remove formatting from that. There we go. All right, so what do we have here? Hable inglés con confianza. I always like using the familiar habla inglés con confianza. I feel like I'm the teacher, these are my students, so I can. What's your opinion on that, Juli?
To speak with confidence.
Using habla in the to form versus
Yeah.
hable in the usted form?
I default everything usted.
So you think we should go usted here?
Depends on what Cody, I saw you react like enthusiastically with my comment. So I feel like
I, yeah, I felt a little disrespectful, maybe referring to people I don't know as tú, and I don't even know in the call when I'm supposed to start doing tú unless they say I can. I still do usted until the first class at least.
Yeah, I'd say it's a comfort level. I look at it like I'm the teacher and they're the student, so I use the familiar. But whatever you feel most comfortable with, we'll leave it in the usted form. So let's take a look at this. Hable inglés con confianza. Fundamentos de Inglés uno. Comienza. Chao. 7 de marzo. Comienza el sábado 7 de marzo. Change all this. So this is an interesting thing. What is the most important thing we want our students to see? I would say clases de inglés para adultos. And this is more of a kind of a tagline here. Hable inglés con confianza. I would want to center everything here. Let's put that maybe in it. That gets some special attention there. Let's make that a bold, a little bit bigger. All right. Can you read this to us, Juli?
Clases de inglés para adultos. Habla inglés con confianza. Fundamentos de Inglés 1 comienza el sábado 7 de marzo. ¿Listo para empezar? Aprendan las bases de inglés para el trabajo y la vida diaria en un grupo pequeño y dinámico. Inicio sábado 7 de marzo. Cupos limitados a solo 8 estudiantes. Inversión, I like that, $97 al mes. Inscríbase hoy. Para apuntar su lugar, llame o envíe un mensaje a profesora Cody 720-336-0636. What a satisfying phone number you have, Cody.
That really is.
Yeah.
How did you get such a lots of 3s and 6s? ¿Qué falta?
I looked all through several numbers on Google Voice and I chose the number that just felt
nice.
good. It just felt good.
Nice. I love it. Okay, so ¿qué falta aquí? What's missing from this ad?
Location.
Eso.
Oh, yeah.
Bien.
I could listen to you speak all day, Juli.
Oh, thanks.
Oh my gosh, you're so
Sign
beautiful.
up to my podcast. Just
Oh,
kidding.
you have a podcast?
No, I send my friends long voice notes and I call it my podcast.
Well, start sending me voice notes, please.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Sounds
Yes.
great.
Is it called Google Meet or Meets or Meet? What's it?
It's Meet.
Google Meet, just like it is
Mhm.
here.
Yep. And do I need to let them know it's weekly? Every Saturday?
You can, yeah. So let's see here. Sorry, I just want everything to be the same. When it comes to doing stuff like this is your opportunity. You want to make it simple and easy to read. And so what I was just looking with all those different fonts and colors and stuff, I didn't like that one. That's a 30.
I have a question. Why do you use Gemini instead of like ChatGPT, or how do you pick which AI tool you're using?
I just started using Gemini. I've used ChatGPT for a long time, so I'm just experimenting with Gemini a little bit. That's a good question. Somebody was just telling me, it was a student of mine, Susanna, that was saying she uses Gemini for like business related stuff and ChatGPT for more personal. I don't know.
Keeps it separate.
At the end of the day, they're all good resources, I think.
And would Gemini, if you gave it the text, would it create the flyer for you?
I think it could, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I just did this for the content, right?
Mhm.
So that's a good question. We're going to do that in just 1 second. So this is a good flyer for a very specific class. We've talked about when it's starting, where it's going to be, limited to 8 students, 97 a month. Very good. Um, it's interesting. You can make it branded. You can put your picture in. You can do all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, I think that's all just distracting from the situation. And I'll actually show you my favorite style of ad. Insert page break. Oops. This is my favorite ad. That simple.
Nice.
I would make it as big as you possibly can go. All right, so it's centered on the page, so you can print. This is what I would post. So if I were you, Cody, I'd go around, and this is a very good thing to actually talk about next. This is a good flyer or digital ad. I would call it more of like a digital ad for a Facebook post. You could put this on Facebook. You can put this on your Google business page. So actually, let's do that here. Facebook. And let me just call it social media. I don't know why it's giving me weird. So where does this ad go? Where to post? So with the more detailed information like this, we're going to look at social media. Facebook is my favorite for this type of thing. I know a lot of people use Instagram, Twitter, X, okay, Google business page. Have you set your Google business page up, Cody? TikTok is really good.
Are you a TikTok user? Me neither.
So I would say, in order, you want to post on all these places in whatever you use, right? So if you don't use TikTok, I didn't catch that. Did you use TikTok, Cody? No. Yeah. If you don't use TikTok, forget about it. I think it's actually, all this stuff is free advertising for you. So with TikTok, you can record yourself just saying this in a video. For all these other places, and by the way, video hits better
Mhm.
than anything else.
That's fair.
So with this, I would first and foremost, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Just take your cell phone and record yourself reading the script, reading exactly what it says here. And then you post that video to all these places. Now, let's see if Jim and I can do this. Oops. Oh, I didn't mean to. Let me redo. Okay, sorry. Know why it didn't. That's why. Let's see what happens here.
It's a bit much.
Yeah, it's too busy, right?
It's the opposite of your favorite ad.
But I love the people on there.
Mhm.
So sometimes with let's see what happens here. But like if you give it an example, so like I really like Apple. I think they just have simple. They have that white background. Everything just very simple and clean. This isn't bad. This might be good for, honestly, it's not bad, but it's just a little too busy. What do you think is better? Option A or option B?
Should be.
Option B, right? It's cleaner, it's simpler. I still think it's a little too busy, but
Mhm.
not bad. Anyways, you get the idea, right? You can kind of play around with this stuff.
Mhm.
Cool. And then, so, and I can, let's see here.
I think if they took off the English, it wouldn't be so bad too.
Yeah, that's actually a good. Remove the English from this post. It should only be in Spanish. I knew something was. I saw it and then I didn't see it again, and I knew that
Mhm.
was. Yeah, you shouldn't have bilingual ads, especially if you're targeting Fundamentos de Inglés Uno students, right? These guys don't speak any English, so
And you're not marketing for other language speakers, other L1 speakers.
that's a little bit better, I think. And I'm gonna share this with you, this document with you after this, Cody.
Thank you.
I guess I could share it with you too, Huli. Not to leave you out. I'll figure out a way to put this in the group.
Okay.
So let's see here. Downloads. Yeah, I thought it said it downloaded. There we go. Oops, where did I go? Come on, computer. So anyways, this is just kind of step number one. Play with it a little bit, I think this is too much information. I would remove all of these details from the middle of it. So it just says clases de inglés para adultos, hable inglés con confianza. Profesora Cody. That's exactly what I would say. Let's go tell Gemini. And then wherever you post it, you enter this in the text message, right? So you post the image, and then in the text you put the full details. That's how I would say it.
Mhm.
So let's see if I can do this.
Will you share this document with us and we
Yep.
can, okay, thank you.
So before AI, you would have had to pay a graphic designer $100 just to make something like this for you. So
Or you could use Canva.
you can use Canva too. That's true. Before Canva.
Before Canva. You could what's it called? Do a collage.
They took the people off.
I know, and they didn't follow my instructions. This is
where AI wastes your time. So
I said only use this information. Do not add any other information. Okay, now spice this up just a little with the images of the people.
should it also say when the class is going to start?
Not in this one.
Okay.
So one thing, because that's what I was saying, you're going to post it with this text, right? So like, if you think of when you upload something to Facebook, you add an image and then you also add text. So the image there, I like that. That's much better, right? So you have an image that's going to kind of call people's attention, and it's very simple. Clases de inglés para adultos. So I know exactly what it is, English classes, and I know who it's for. It's for adults. Habla inglés con confianza. Wow, I've been wanting to learn how to speak English with confidence. And then I've got contact information here. Profesora Cody. Oh, look, it looks like friendly people speaking English. That's pretty cool. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, and then the thing is, with this, you can use it over and over and over again. The one with the class details, like you'd have to create a new one every single time that you did it, which is also fine, but you know. So you might want to experiment. You could use both of these, right? You know, maybe one day post this one, maybe the other day post this one. Oops. So let's see here. All right, so for this ad, where to post? You can put it on your Google business page, TikTok, social, any online presence that you have, you can post this. Post video if you want to. If you want to just record a video of you reading through this that's all you got to do. And then this one, I prefer for public places, like a carniceria, like any, anywhere you go where there's Spanish-speaking people, right? So we could go to a carniceria, taqueria, iglesia, if there's any churches where they have a lot of Spanish speakers, so look for Catholic churches. I don't know. You can try the library. I don't know if there's like a gym with a lot of Spanish speaking people. What else am I missing here?
Is it weird to put do schools allow advertisements?
Yeah, so it depends on the school. Sometimes they call it like a Friday folder or something like that. Like sometimes schools send home a weekly folder. But that's, I would definitely go to any of your local schools and introduce yourself because you can actually get a lot of business there. As a matter of fact, schools will often have an extra classroom and let you use one of their classrooms to host your classes too. So you could do, in-person classes. So you're in Park Hill, I think, Cody. I don't know. What are the demographics of Park Hill in terms of Spanish speakers? I don't think Park Hill is heavily Hispanic, but
Well, we have recent immigrants from Venezuela, so it's pretty heavily populated.
so yeah, there you go. What do I know? But I was thinking like if you go just a little bit south, once you get into like the Colfax area, like that kind of, just go slightly south in the Colfax zone, you'll see a lot of carnicerias y taquerias. And then if you go north, you're in Commerce City. Those would be good places where I would this would be like a normal flyer that you post. With the time frame, you could also just post print this out. If sometimes when you go into these places, if they have a bulletin board, or sometimes they'll let you tape it onto their front door, like the front window or something, I would always go into these places and introduce yourself. Hola, me llamo Cody, soy profesor de inglés y estoy dando clases de inglés. Me deja poner un anuncio aquí en la pared, or right. So like introduce yourself to the owner of the business or something like that. Ask for permission, and normally because you're doing something to help people, right? Like normally they'll be cool with it. Cool. So I say the reason why we typically want at least 2 weeks is because this stuff does take a little bit of time. The people will pass by a flyer, 5 or 10 times before they finally like realize it. A lot of people, and that's why I say put this one in big, bold, like as big as you possibly can get it. And it's just super simple. Clases de Inglés with the phone number. I used to I used to do all this stuff, and I remember my first flyer, it was branded, and I had a graphic designer create it, and it was so beautiful, and I loved it, and it did not get any results. And one day, like I walked past it and I looked at it, and I was like, I can't tell what that's for, right? So that's why this works really well. Yeah, it's simple, but that's why it is extremely obvious what it's for, right? Clases de Inglés. And so that's why this is more of a public facing place. So you want to usually have at least 2 weeks just to give yourself some time for people to call in and stuff like that. Next, this is actually not a bad idea here. So Cody, do you remember what were we talking about? Was it last week? Did we talk about the spreadsheet, the CRM spreadsheet?
Yes,
Okay, good. So do you have your CRM spreadsheet?
I do.
Okay.
Are you wanting me to share it?
No. But
Oh.
so I would now take one of these. You could take this one. This is actually a really good one for this purpose. You could send this in a text message to all of the people that you've collected in your CRM.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
So I think I actually forgot to mention that when we were talking about it. But another reason why you want to make sure you're always collecting contact information is maybe a couple of weeks ago you tried to sign somebody up for private lessons. It was too expensive, but now you've got an online group class that's a fraction of the price. Oh, I'll do that. So now you get to send a text message to everybody you've collected in your CRM system. So again, going back to milestone 2. In milestone 2, you should have learned how to create a flyer like this, and you should have been already posting these types of flyers up in your local places. You should have created a Facebook page for your business, and you should have started posting stuff there in your Google business page. That stuff takes a long time to start working for you. But hopefully with the flyers are typically pretty fast. In my experience, if I put a flyer up, I usually start getting calls within a week. So those are pretty quick, right? So you do all that stuff right at the beginning. So you start collecting information, and then now you're ready to start a group class. You go all out promoting it. So you post these flyers to social media, you send it to your list and your how many people do you think you have in your CRM so far, Cody?
I think I've got about 12 or 13.
You got 12 or 13 people. You
I
know,
think.
if you sign up at least 2 of those people, good. If you sign up half of them, you've almost got a full class. Did you have a question, Huli?
I
No, I
was
was just
wondering,
celebrating.
no, I do have a question. I was wondering, like, what if Cody gets like 100, let's imagine crazy number, not 100, but like more than your capacity, Cody. What do you do in that situation? I guess that's what you're kind of building, the community that you're building of teachers. Um, like, is that
Yeah.
the vision for any overcapacity?
Yeah. So help me understand that. So are you saying that more than 8 people actually pay for the class?
Like, what if Cody has capacity to teach 10 classes a week and she gets 8 people for all of those classes, and now she gets more interest because people are still seeing her flyers, and now she has too many people and she can't teach all the classes?
Well, I'm trying to understand that. So she shouldn't be starting more classes than she can teach ever.
Exactly.
um, so are you just talking about she has more in like more people have called her and she can't work with all of them?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm doing with you guys, right?
Yeah.
Like you see how many people I'm sending out to the network. You've got a couple of things, right? Because you will hopefully get to the point where you're at capacity. And then in that, there's a couple of things you can do. Maybe it's time to raise prices. Uh, B, maybe it's time to quit your day job. Or you know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's a good problem to have. It is a problem. Those are people that then you put on a wait list. Maybe you say, hey, I can't work with you now. I can call you back the next time I open a new class. You can send them, videos to like the YouTube videos to watch in the meantime. Like, hey, I can't work with you now, but start watching these videos for free. And next time I open a class, here you go. But yeah, really the idea with this whole teacher membership thing is we're all a community now. So when my classes are full, I push them off to you guys. If your classes get full too, send them back, send them back to the network. Say, hey, Huli, I'm too busy. Can you take the student? Right? I think that's is that
Yeah. That answers my question. Thank you.
cool. Let's see here. It is 1:16. So it's about all the time we have. Any other questions before we go?
I do have a question. Is it possible for teachers to buy the books in bulk, like at wholesale, or do we just buy them just like the students?
Um, Theoretically, it is possible. It's a little complicated, and it works easiest just to buy them from Amazon.
Mhm.
Um, as it's very, I don't understand why this works, but just I have to order them special. I can't order them from Amazon because I
Okay.
have to order them directly from the printer.
Mhm.
If And all of a sudden it's now taking like over a month to get them. They used to come within a couple of weeks. So it takes me like historically 2 weeks to get my own books. And you guys can typically order the book from Amazon and get it in 2 days, right? I don't know why it takes so much longer for me to get them as
Mm.
the author. So that's why I say,
That's okay.
yeah, if you have time to kill and you want to make an upfront payment and buy, 10 or 20 books, then theoretically I should be able to offer you a little discount on that. We could talk about that if that's something you want to do. I think it's just going to be easier for you to tell the students to buy it on Amazon or to buy a few copies that then, so whatever you pay for them on Amazon, let's say the book's $40 on Amazon, charge your student $45.
Oh, I was just thinking for us, just to buy all of them for us.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to jump off because we got a meeting at 1:30.
Okay, sounds good. Willie,
Okay.
any other questions?
No, that's good for me. It went by really fast.
Was this
Okay.
helpful for everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. All right.
Thank
Ciao, ciao.
you.
Ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.